happy Wednesday, you guys. So today I am back with another video for the Walt Disney World planning series. Now I know we've talked about dining plans and resorts and everything like that, but today I want to talk about actually making your advanced dining reservations, or ADRs as those of us in the Disney community know them as. So I thought I'd sort of crack on and jump in so that it's not a really long video. So I've got a piece of paper. I haven't got my pad because I was at work this morning, so I actually doodled it down whilst I was doing office work stuff. So I thought I'd quickly jump into it for you. So to begin with, your advanced dining reservations. Now, regardless of whether or not you're staying on site with Disney or you're staying off site with another third-party vendor, you can book your dinner reservations 180 days out. Now, I know for some people that's kind of really far in advance, and I get it. A lot of people don't know, you know, what they want to do, where they want to eat, what time they want to eat, stuff like that. I get it, but it is really crucial that you do if you're looking at a certain restaurant like Be Our Guest, or especially Cinderella's Royal Table because it books up so quickly, or Ohana's, or anywhere that you've seen that you really want to eat, like whether or not you want to eat there because of the food or because of the character interaction, or maybe you just like the setting, the venue, the location, everything like that. It really is worth you making an advanced dining reservation. Now, having said that, you do only have to make these for the sit-down restaurants, obviously not for counter service. Be Our Guest, even though lunch and breakfast are classed as a counter service credit, you do still need to book your reservation because obviously the restaurant gets very busy. So like I say, you can book 180 days out. Now, these aren't set in stone, so you can book it and then think maybe later on, hey, don't really want to go to Boma maybe for breakfast, so you can cancel it, and that's perfectly fine, and you can book Crystal Palace instead, or you can do whatever you want to do. They're very changeable and very easily changed as well if there is availability. So just keep that in mind, because like I say, Cinderella's Royal Table does tend to fill up very quickly, and once it does, trying to get a dining reservation for that one is actually really difficult. So that's the first point I'm going to make. Second point I'm going to make is that when your 180 day mark hits, you can make your first 10 days worth of reservations. So for the first 10 days of your vacation or your holiday, you can make your reservations. Now after that, if you're staying say 14 days or 21 days, something like that, you then, once you've booked it from the 180 for the 10, then the next day you'll have day number 11, then the next day, day number 12, day number 13, day number 14, so it goes on like that. So like I say, the first 10 you can book on one day, and then each day subsequent to that you are going to have to, you know, book separately, sort of on the next day. I hope that makes sense for you. It's very confusing, but that is what you need to do. So there's that point. Also, to secure a dining reservation, you do need a credit or a debit card to put down against it. Now, Disney don't actually charge you. They don't charge your credit or your debit card unless you don't show up. So basically, you just put it against it. It's just like a goodwill thing, just to say, hey, I want this reservation, you know, here's my credit or my debit card. And it just filters out those people who make 70 different dining reservations, and you know, they end up taking spots of people who perhaps would have wanted it more and needed that one more. You know, it's just a way of weeding out people basically and sort of making it fair. So like I say, you don't get charged. You pay at the restaurant. You can pay it in cash, you can pay it on your card, you can do whatever you like to do. You don't have to charge it to that debit or credit card. I usually pay in cash. I don't tend to pay on my card, but it just secures your reservation. So keep that in mind in case it freaks you out when you go to book and they ask you for a credit or a debit card. It is just a placeholder for your reservation. Okay, next one is cancelling. Now, say you've decided that a 9 o'clock seating at 50's Primetime Diner isn't going to make you and your little ones very happy. So you think, well, I don't really need that dining reservation anymore, I'm going to cancel it. You can cancel it anywhere up to 24 hours before your reservation, okay? So basically, It's anywhere up to midnight. That's the official stance from Disney on it. So say, you know, you've booked it for a Thursday, and Wednesday at 10 p.m. you think, I don't think I'm going to make it, I'm going to have to cancel it. You can cancel it up to midnight on the Wednesday and not get charged. Obviously, if you do not cancel your reservation and you don't turn up for it, or you cancel your reservation, say an hour before you're meant to be there, you will be charged $10 per person, so per guest. So say there's 3 in your party, you're going to be charged that $30. And that will go on the credit or the debit card that you have put against your reservation. So just bear that in mind, because I know people who, you know, they've made the reservations, they've not made it for whatever reason, maybe they've forgotten because they haven't written their reservations down, and they've been charged this fee because they've not cancelled and they're a no-show, and they've tried to argue it, and it's kind of like, well, no, you should be making a note of your ADRs, to be honest. I mean, I plan my whole holiday around food because I just love food. Oh my goodness, that is the first thing me and Emma did. Not even kidding you. We booked our holiday and then we all sat down and we were like, let's just focus on dining, shall we? Wasn't even at the 180-day mark. We just wanted to make a list of everywhere we wanted to eat because we're foodies like that. So again, keep that in mind, because if you don't cancel it or anything arises like that, you will be charged for it. So I would rather, you know, cancel it and not get charged than get charged for something that I haven't received, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So next thing, okay, so how do you make reservations? So basically there's 2 options for this. You can either ring the Walt Disney World travel company and they have a reservations line, which I believe is WDW Dine. So I don't know what the corresponding numbers to that is, to be perfectly honest, but that's what, you know, that's what it works out as. So you can ring them up and you can make a reservation over the phone, and that's perfectly fine. Me personally, I am lazy and I do not like other human interaction because I'm a little bit misanthropic like that. Sorry guys, but I kind of am. So I do it on the internet. So basically, if you log on to www.waltdisneyworld.go.com, yes, I do know it off by heart, then you can go on to the dining part. If you have My Disney Experience as well, the app, this is a huge thing, because if you have the app and you've put everything in, and you know, it has all your reservation details, and on the website as well for My Disney Experience, which is under the same website I just gave you. But basically, if you've got all your reservations linked, it will know when your 180 days is coming close, and it will email you to remind you. Basically, you can go on there, you go onto the dining section, and you can look through all the different menus and all the different places that, you know, I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of restaurants, but you can basically do all that, and then it comes out of a little box basically at the side of a restaurant. So say I want to book Crystal Palace in the Magic Kingdom, it will come up with a box on your right hand side, I believe, if my memory serves me right, and it will ask you for the party size. So I always put 3 in because obviously it was me, Emma and Martin. And then it will ask you the date that you want, so I don't know, like the 3rd of October, and then it will ask you for the sitting, basically. They'll say, do you want breakfast, lunch or dinner? Or you can do it by time, so you can be super specific and be like, hey, I'm going to eat lunch at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe that's you, not me personally, I get very hungry, but you know, you can do it by time if you really need to, and then it will pop up with all different time things. If there's availability, you click one, click continue. It's all very simple and very easy, and it's one of my favourite things to do when it comes around. So there's always that. Next, what am I doing? So yes, remind myself from my list. So basically, as I've written here when I wrote it at 6 o'clock this morning, excellent, you can actually go onto the website that I've just said to you about, and you can look at the menus, which for me is a godsend, because like I say, I love food. I do love food. So basically you can go on there and you can see what kind of food they offer. Maybe they're an African cuisine kind of thing, maybe they're English cuisine, maybe they're American, Japanese, whatever. You know, you can go on there, you can see everything. this played like a huge part in us booking stuff, because for example, I'm not the most adventurous person when I eat. I don't like a lot of like African food and stuff like that. No offense to anyone who's of that descent, but it's not my taste palette basically. So we looked at a lot of stuff and were like, oh, like I wouldn't really eat that, I wouldn't eat that, wouldn't eat that, wouldn't. Okay, we won't eat there. So that really does help for you to make your mind up about where you possibly want to eat. Same with Cape May Cafe at the beach club. We originally were going to do the dinner until we found out it was an all-you-can-eat seafood dinner, and me, I do not do seafood. Crab legs, don't like it. So we decided that we would switch it to a breakfast instead, which is much more my palate, especially with like Mickey waffles. Like, come now. So we switched it, so it was a very integral part of us deciding where we were going to eat. So do go on there and peruse the menus and get all mouth-watery about it. No shame at all. So that's another thing for you to think of. Next one. Okay, so if you can't get the restaurant you want, keep trying, because cancellations do come up, guys. Like I say, people cancel, they change their plans, it's perfectly fine, and it will go back into the system. So I've had this before with the afternoon tea at the Grand Floridian. I've gone to make a reservation, because again, it's a very popular thing, and I couldn't get a reservation, and I kept checking, and it got to about 2 weeks before our vacation, and suddenly it popped up saying there was one at 3:15, and I was like, yes, I need it. So I booked it. That wasn't for the trip that we've just had, but the trip before, when I went with my sister and my brother-in-law. And it is just like that, you know, things pop up, things crop up, and people do cancel, and, you know, so do keep checking back. Just keep logging on, keep going for it, especially Cinderella's Royal Table. Sometimes people will make 3 or 4 different sitting arrangements for that until they get their plans nailed down, and then they'll just cancel them off one by one. So do keep that in mind as well. So there's that. Also, my biggest tip is to try and make seating times outside regular times. So basically, everybody's going to go for lunch at midday, everybody's going to go for dinner around 6 o'clock. They are very hectic seating times. So I always suggest trying to maybe go earlier or go a bit later, because they do get very busy. We ate lunch sometimes at 11 o'clock, which is very early for us, but it meant that it was a much calmer seating than if we'd gone at 12. Same with dinner. Sometimes we had dinner at 8 o'clock at night, because there's not really many people who are going to be eating that late, especially if you have children. So again, it was a very relaxed, very calm kind of, you know, seating. Sometimes we couldn't help it, like 50s prime time. I believe we had a reservation for, I'm going to say about 7. I'm going to say 7. Somewhere in the zone. And we ended up waiting 45 minutes after our reservation time, because they can't kick people out of the restaurant. They can't literally be like, eat up and go. So, you know, it's very awkward. So do be prepared as well that you might have to wait past your reservation time. So if you have children that get very stroppy, very hungry, you know, and they really can't wait for food, do keep that in mind. Maybe make an earlier reservation or a little later if they're going to nap in the afternoon, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. You are going to have to probably wait for your reservation. It was the same with Ohana's for us, because it was a very busy day and a busy restaurant for breakfast. So again, we waited about 20 to 30 minutes after our reservation time. So just because you have a reservation time does not mean that you are guaranteed to be seated at that time, unfortunately. Another thing to lock away in there for later. Next thing, right. Oh, yes. Yes, Hannah, you're very smart. Always know the location of your restaurant. We've had it quite a few times with people where we've seen them turn up to one restaurant thinking it was a different restaurant. So we've had people turn up, and we've witnessed this when we've been at Crystal Palace, and they've turned up and been like, where's Cinderella? Yeah, Cinderella's royal table isn't here, it's in the castle, and yeah, you've made the wrong reservation. So that does happen. Do know the location, mainly as well for time, for getting there, because at the end of the day, you have a 20-minute grace period, right? So they give you 20 minutes to get there. If you are over that 20 minutes, they have a right to refuse to seat you. and they will charge you the $10 per person because you are then marked as a no-show. Or, you know, they assume that you're going to cancel your reservation, so they, you know, they do it that way, which is fine because otherwise, again, how would they know to give the table away? So it's something to sort of keep in mind, to know where everything is, just so that you can get there in time. And with the transportation system can take anywhere up to an hour and a half to get to where you're going to, so you really do have to factor that in when you're trying to get there. So anything allergy wise that you might have, that can also be noted down on your reservation. You know, anything like celiac or gluten-free, anything like that, you know, it can all be put down. I put down my strawberry allergy a lot of the time, and I do get a lot of questions about it, but it is something that you can do. Things like what they class as lifestyle, which is things like being a vegetarian, being a vegan, they don't actually have a box for that. So you can write it in there, but it's not something that they're going to class as a dietary requirement as much, because it's more of a lifestyle thing. That's how they see it. It was the same when my sister was a vegetarian. They kind of didn't get it, and it was just a whole big faff. But you can put down any allergy requirements or any allergy problems, and they will put it on the reservation, and they will get the chef to come and speak to you about it and see exactly what your needs are. So again, that's a really good touch. It means that people aren't excluded from going to different restaurants and what have you, and there's always an alternative that the chefs can offer you. So I think that's really good. You know, it's something that, like I say, I myself don't really, you know, suffer with too much, because I only have an allergy to strawberries. So it's only things like, please don't put strawberries on my dessert, which they tend to do as a garnish every single time. So again, that's just another thing which is really, really good with the advanced dining. So yeah, I think that's basically everything. Anyway, so I'm sorry, very, very sorry that footage has changed. I've had to change cameras, like I say, because I wanted to get this all done in one day, and I'm losing light fast because I'm having to film this very late. Anyway, so that is everything that I can tell you about making dining reservations. Obviously, if there's anything else you need to know, then do drop a comment down below and I will get back to you. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up for me. It really does help me make more videos for you guys. And also, if you feel like you would like to and you haven't already gotten around to doing so, then do hit that big red subscribe button up there in the corner for me. Makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. And until next time, guys, I'm going to check you later. So check ya.